Hello again, everybody. It's your host, Felipe Milicio, and you're listening to the Total Basis Podcast. With me, as always, it's the one, the only Sean Flannery. Sean, how you doing this evening?
I'm great. I'm back from my month-long sabbatical while I was trying to figure out my new job and the new schedule. But we're finally back. So much has happened. Trade deadline, lots of prospects on the move, lots of studs on the move. I listened a little bit to you guys on Dong City earlier this week, break down kind of the bigger name trades and the big names associated with those trades. But I think we got something a little bit different planned for tonight.
Yeah, one of the things I was kind of disappointed was we couldn't. I mean, it's not my show. I just got invited to it. Of course, they're not going to do it the way I want to do it. But one of the things I wanted to do was kind of delve into these lesser known minor league players and prospects. And that's not the focus of Dong City. Dong City is theirs was a little bit more team oriented, and that's their podcast. They're more about that aspect of it than what we do, and is trying to evaluate talent as best we can, even if they're obscure minor league players or on face value there's like no reason to mention these players or there's no value to them whatsoever. That's where the argument about Austin Romine came in, where I was told, oh, Austin Romine sucks, he's never going to amount to anything. And then I see the numbers, and for at least 2 seasons he was pretty viable catcher for at least 2 seasons. So that's
At least 2 seasons.
that's I'm telling you, I was told zilch for Austin Romine, that he's never going to do anything with his life in terms of baseball except be a good defensive catcher. And he proved that he could be somewhat of a dependable slugger for at least those 2 seasons with the Yankees. Yeah.
Slugger.
Well, for a catcher, yeah. For a catcher, yeah. We talk about how bad catchers are, but let's get to it. I only have 1 hour with you, Sean. I know you have to get going. So the first trade that on the docket here, we're gonna go backwards according to the spot rack list that I sent you earlier today. And the first one that shows up is Javier Baez and Trevor Williams going to New York for Pete Crow Armstrong, and we're gonna focus our attention on Pete Crow Armstrong, 19 years old, left-handed outfielder, 6 foot, 184 pounds. So needs to add some weight on the muscle. Some of the bigger attributes, according to Fangraphs, that he has is that he has a high ceiling hit tool, has some little bit of power, has a lot of speed, and can field for days. But Sean, he's only a future value of 45. But before I cede the floor to you, you are a Mets fan, so I can't wait to hear what you got to say about this guy. Please be mindful that a lot of the Fangraphs stuff and a lot of the lists and the MLB pipeline and all that stuff, when you see future value of 45, don't get discouraged. These numbers do fluctuate. They're meant to be dynamic and not static. So today's 45 player is tomorrow's 55 player, maybe, or tomorrow's 35 player. Who knows? With that being said, Pete Crow Armstrong, is the arrow up, down, or neutral on him, Sean?
It's just a neutral. He was their first round pick last year out of California. Like you said, he was one of the top outfielders in the draft, but his stock did take a little bit of a hit right before everything got shut down for COVID in his high school year, because he had been on the under-18 Team USA, and he was one of their top of the lineup table setters, great defense, and his stock was going up. And then those first few weeks before they shut everything down, the offense didn't look right. The swing was a little off. And so that allowed him to drop down to 19, where he was selected by the Mets. He debuted professionally this year. Only got to play 6 games before I think it was sliding into a base. He injured his shoulder. It was almost an exact injury that Alek Thomas of Arizona had, and they had to have season-ending shoulder surgery within the first week of the season. But he did show. He was playing in the St. Lucie low A ball. He had a 22% walk rate in those first 32 plate appearances, was higher than a strikeout rate. Fangraphs put it well. His kind of ceiling here, probably even a little bit higher, is Jackie Bradley Jr. Left-handed bat, good speed, plus defensively. We just have to wait and see how he comes back and recovers from the shoulder surgery, which might affect the overall future power. I don't think it'll affect the approach. I don't think it'll affect the defense. So and the things that keep him, the things that are going to get him to the big leagues were not his power. It was his approach and his defense and his athleticism. None of that's changing right now. But him for a rental Baez did not make sense in my mind. That was the largest overpay of a rental at the deadline this year. And I feel pretty confident in saying that.
But you got Trevor Williams to go with it. What's wrong?
Trevor Williams was on my list of people I wanted to talk about too.
Nah, we already know who Trevor Williams is.
No, we don't. No, we don't. He's got one of the best sliders in baseball. Did anybody know that?
Yeah, a lot of good that did to him when he was with the Cubs.
the rest of his pitches are just BP, but hey.
Yeah. Go get gas. BP, Amico. All right, well, let's move on then to the next player on the list. It is Abraham Gutierrez. One of Felipe's favorite catching prospects, right? He's a future value 35 plus, Sean, according to Fangraphs. Now we're getting very obscure. 21 years old, bats right, throws right, obviously. And while he was with the Phillies, he showed a very good approach, a little bit of power, and it was having a good season, getting on base, and lots of good things. It makes me kind of get excited for that catching prospect, right? But I got to temper my expectations because, again, it's a catching prospect, still in high A, 21 years old. So there's a lot of it's a long road ahead of him. Well, how do you see Abraham Gutierrez? Is he the next Austin Romine there, Sean?
Gutierrez, I honestly don't know that much about, so that's just one I'm gonna have to shove back to you or push back to you.
All right. Well, he's now the Pirates' problem now.
A lot of the trades the Pirates made, though, one of the only real interesting pieces to me they got back were Bryce Wilson from the Braves and the Richard Rodriguez deal, and Hoy Park and the who did the Yankees trade for him?
I forgot, but we'll get to it. We'll get to it for sure. But all right, let's move on. Let's see. There was a few deals here that the Rangers got from the Angels. The Angels acquired Sam Selman, Ivan Alexander Armstrong, and Jose Marte from the Giants for Tony Watson. So what does a veteran relief pitcher get you? Yeah, exactly.
Garbage. A 30-year-old garbage relief pitcher, a relief pitcher who kind of has no idea what he's throwing in the minors, and then the Jose Marte guy. I don't even know who that is. It's brutal.
Let me walk you through this. All right, Ivan Armstrong showed double digits K per nine in the minors with the Giants.
Really high walk rate though. Remember,
3.29. I've seen higher on this list. Trust me, you'll see, man. You'll see 3.29. You'll take that right now. Big ground ball pitcher. The other thing I wanted to talk about Ivan Armstrong is this 6'5", 247-pound, 21-year-old, which is, we just saw a 21-year-old who was kind of lanky. Actually, it was Pete Armstrong, right? He's 6 foot and 187 pounds or whatever. This guy's a big one, 6'5", 247. Was able to post a 54.5% ground ball rate with the Giants A-ball team. ERA is below 2. The FIP is strong with this one. Fangraphs has him as having a big fastball, decent slider, but command is awful. Aside from all that, I know you put a big thumbs down for these acquisitions from the Angels. Anything else you want to add about Ivan Armstrong?
Not really. A relief pitcher prospect that really hasn't shown any sort of elite standout to me. I mean, it's just one of those dime a dozen. Unless I see a relief pitcher in the minors like, DeMarcus Evans was or James Karinchak was, or I see a really interesting pitch shape, I try not to get too excited.
Well, there's reason to get excited because the Angels, what's the number one complaint about that team? They can't find pitching. Well, they have someone, maybe, in Ivan Armstrong, if they're lucky. Jose Marte, I know you're 25-year-old, so he's a little bit he's really old, actually. He's on the old side, but that's okay. You know why? Because pitchers develop a lot. They take longer to develop, right, Sean? It's like
usually.
It's like baking a cake. Just gotta wait
baking a cake.
Yeah, sure. But Fangraphs, even though the future value is at 35 plus, he's listed as having a big fastball, really good fastball slider combination. That's what you want from your relief pitchers, even at the age of 25 with no command. But as you will see, in 19 game appearances, 14.29 K per nine, but a lot of walks, and that's been his downfall. But for all the walks, he also posts a high ground ball rate, 3.57 ERA. The FIP likes him at 2.33. So again, between Ivan Armstrong and Jose Marte, you might have two future guys for the Angels that can shore up that bullpen at the back end. Not the back end, just in general, just because, again, number one complaint about Angels from the Angels fans.
Not
We don't have
pitching.
enough pitching. So you were able to get 3 lottery tickets for Tony Watson. Whether I don't know how much you value Tony Watson, but
those are like those are really bad lottery tickets. Like that's like you might win the lottery on that ticket in like 2,000 years.
I don't know, man. I don't know. So I think Ivan Armstrong. I'm just you know how I like my pictures, man. I like them big. I like them big. Not to get sexual and arousal to you people listening, but no, Ivan Armstrong's stature is promising. I mean, that's reason enough to watch. And then the other guy, who I already forgot, Jose Marte. I'm curious to see if that fastball slider combination will translate even as a low end relief pitcher one of these days. But now we get to the Texas Rangers, who there's another team who's always constantly looking for pitching. They traded Kyle Gibson and Ian Kennedy to the Philadelphia Inquirers. The Philadelphia Phillies. And they get Spencer Howard, who we know who Spencer Howard is. But let's talk about him because I don't know. I want to get your opinion on him because it looks like he has the tools and the promise to be a very good pitching prospect in the majors. And it's just not been able to click for him since he's been brought up. What problems do you see out of Spencer Howard?
Multiple injuries. I think he's had 3 arm surgeries already. They've been in this weird situation where they've wanted to use him as a starter, but they knew if they started him off as a starter at the beginning of the year, he would hit his innings limits. So they wanted to use him as a reliever. They wanted to keep him in AAA. Then they wanted to bring him back as a starter, but only as like a piggyback starter. And they were using him with Bailey Falter in Philadelphia. Really interesting player in his own right. But this was a great get for Texas. And I think Texas is one of the unsung winners of this deadline. Not only the package they got back for Gibson and Ian Kennedy, but the package they got back for Joey Gallo as well. And I know a lot of Texas fans are upset that they traded Joey Gallo. It was inevitable. It was inevitable. I mean, it had to happen. But Spencer Howard and Glenn Otto, who we'll probably talk about later, love those arms in the Texas system, especially in a park which now seems to be leaning very heavily towards pitchers.
Yeah, but to remind folks, Joey Gallo's agent is Scott Boras. So good luck with that. You were not going to get him back. Spencer Howard being acquired by the Texas Rangers kind of reminds me of Dane Dunning getting acquired by the White Sox.
For Lance Lynn. And Kyle Gibson was having that great year and kind of the same type of pitcher Lance Lynn was. And they get a multi 5-year controllable top prospect pitcher. I mean, it's a great get.
Only other thing I'm going to say about the two parallels there is that I like Spencer Howard as a prospect than I ever did like Dane Dunning. But moving on to the next pitchers. Okay, so it just can't be the 2 guys that you mentioned. That's the reason the Rangers won. Kevin Gowdy, who is now listed as being in high A ball for the Rangers, 23-year-old, 6'4", 170. So he has a little bit on the lanky side. Has a decent fastball, decent slider, and could one day have good command. Has a 40 future value according to Fangraphs. And while he was in the minors with the Texas Power Rangers, with the Philadelphia Phillies, he started 12 games, had a 9.30 K per 9, really good control with those walks though, and kept the ball in the ballpark. Not a lot of home runs were given up by him, but the ERA was 4.43. However, FIP likes him a little bit better at a 3.5 ERA in terms of field independent pitching. So anything else you want to add about Kevin Gowdy, the 23-year-old here?
Like I said, I think that Spencer Howard was the main get, and that's what they're happy with.
So nothing out of Kevin Gowdy. Josh Geshner, now moving on. Josh Geshner, 21-year-old right-handed, 6'1", 205-pounder. He's actually ranked 51st. 51st prospect on a team, though. That's a big difference there. Slider, fastball, good enough, but the command is definitely an issue. You're going to love this, Sean. With the Philadelphia Phillies, he had a K per 9 of 16.4.
Hey.
But a walk per 9 of 3.52, which, again, it's a little bit better.
3.52 if you have a K per 9 of that is not bad. I mean, James Karinchak was routinely putting 5-6 walks per 9 during his minor league tenure.
I have a question for you. I noticed that Fangraphs now has something called CPX. What does that stand for now for the minor leaguers? Do you know?
That's going to be the complex. during the restructuring of everything. There's less minor league teams, so you only have low A, high A. There's no rookie league ball anymore. So when they're playing at their spring training facility, that's just the complex, because they're still having organized games down there, but they're not. What's the word I'm looking for here?
They're
There's
not
like
official.
they're not really official.
Okay. So regardless, I mean, the 66.7% ground ball rate, that's all we have going for it. But that's what you want from a pitcher like this, who has that working on his command problems. So there's a lot of promise here. But again, 21-year-old, there's still a lot of room to grow there. I know people are going to say, like, oh, who cares? He's the 51st prospect on the list. It doesn't really matter. But for a pitching starved team like the Texas Power Rangers, you're kind of happy. You'll accept anything at this point. You'll accept any promising pitcher that you can find. And a 117 RA, 161 FIP. Really, it's a heck. I mean, this is a lot better than what the Angels got for sure. But then again, the Angels were just trying to get rid of a relief. I'm sorry, they were trying to get rid of a relief pitcher, an aging one at that. And meanwhile, the Rangers, like you mentioned, had two established pseudo starting pitchers. I mean, Kyle Gibson, having a really good year, and then Ian Kennedy was a starting pitcher who now turned into a closer type player. So we'll see what happens with these guys in the future. Moving on. Okay, I got a name for you. I'm pretty sure you know who this guy is. All right, and if you don't know who this guy is, I'm gonna have to reconsider a podcast partner here. But Anderson Espinosa.
Yes.
And when the Cubs acquired him for Jake Marisnick, which is another obscure name we mentioned on this podcast before, I was pretty excited because I remember Anderson Espinosa being a highly touted prospect, and then I realized that he had 2 Tommy John surgeries over the last couple of years. And so far with the high A affiliate for the San Diego Padres, he's made 12 starts, but only 28 and 2/3 innings. Posted a pretty impressive strikeout per 9 of 11.6, but a walk per 9 of 4. Keeps the ball in the ballpark, though. That's all I ask out of him. But the ERA, Sean, is 5.02. What is going on with Anderson Espinosa?
I'm not going to look too far into it. Granted, at this point, he's a 23-year-old pitching in high A ball. But like you said, he's had 2 Tommy John surgeries. He's had several other injuries on top of that as well. But this is his first professional innings in 5 years. He hadn't thrown a professional pitch since 2016. He is the guy. He was the big get in Boston to San Diego trade. That would have been because he got traded the same year Yohan Moncada did when the Red Sox really went all in. And I'm trying to remember the trade he was a part of. But yeah, like you said, 2 Tommy Johns. He also has the notion of being only, I believe, him and Hector Santiago are the only 2 pitchers in organized baseball who have been caught and suspended under the foreign substances check program. He had a 10-game suspension earlier this year where he was walking off the mound. They checked him. They found a foreign substance in the glove, and they said, "You're out of here, 10 games." But really interesting upside. He had he was smaller, which worried a lot of people, only 6 foot, 190, and he threw really hard. And the velocity seems to be coming up a little bit, but I don't think it's ever going to be where it was. I mean, after 2 Tommy Johns, that's a rarity to get all of your velocity back. But he's an interesting piece.
What are you looking for?
Relief pitcher. I think he is a guy that you get him back, ramp up some innings in the minors, probably get him to Double-A as a starter. And then once he's built up more strength, throw him in the bullpen and see how quickly you can get him to the major leagues. Because now I think too much time has passed to make him a major league starter.
Yeah, for him to move up from A-ball, he's going to have to really show something, like just ramp up the production and really show that he is fully healthy and back. And like you mentioned already, it's a hard uphill battle, especially for a 23-year-old who's still under low levels of the minor leagues. But we got excited when we mentioned him. I mentioned that to you. You got excited, and like I said, when I saw his name pop up, I got excited. So we'll see if he becomes like a pretty. You know who this reminds me of, Sean? Reminds me when the Cubs acquired Aroldis Vizcaino. That's what it reminds me of.
Interesting.
Vizcaino also had the Tommy John surgery when he got acquired by the Cubs way back in the day. All right. You ready for another obscure name?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. From the Baltimore Orioles, they sent Freddie Galvis to the Phillies, which, what is that, his second stint with the Phillies, right?
Yep.
Jesus. And the Orioles get Tyler Birch, who is a 6'2", 190 pitcher, throws right-handed, 35 plus future value. So with the ETA of 2022, even though he's in high A ball at the moment. But with the Phillies, he pitched in 8 games, 4 saves, 11 innings pitched, 14.73 strikeouts per 9 innings. Again, decent for a relief pitcher, right? But you're going to love this one, Sean. 1.64 walk per 9 innings.
Ooh, a minor leaguer who has control. That's
I'm
fun.
telling you, especially one that's at 35 future value. But other than that, there's not much known about him. He's posting a good ERA, good FIP against better than complex competition, I guess.
Yeah.
Sorry, not complex. Anything else you want to add about Tyler Birch before we move on?
Just going to forward the little excerpt from the Fangraphs article I mentioned earlier. He enjoyed a velo spike coming out of the COVID year, and before the deal, was leading all pitchers in the Philadelphia Phillies organization and swinging strike rate. So that shows a pretty consistent ability to miss bats. So this might be a 35 plus future value guy that might fly underneath the radar. And granted, he's going to be pitching in Baltimore, which is let's start the petition to just get him out of Baltimore already.
Yeah, we've talked about the Baltimore Orioles pitch. I'm still waiting for Tanner Scott to turn into something, you know.
Oh my God, he takes 4 steps forward, gets like a 4K strikeout save, and then the next outing he gives up 2 earned runs, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm done with this.
How's Hunter Harvey doing?
I'm shocked that his arm's still attached to his body.
Okay, so that's what awaits Tyler Birch's future, right there.
Basically.
But you know, all they had to do was get rid of Freddie Galvis, and you get a decent upside, low level pitcher. That's not too bad. That's not too bad for the Orioles. Next up on the list, the Rays acquired Jordan Luplow and DJ Johnson from the Cleveland Guardians of the Galaxy for pitcher Peyton Battenfield. Who the hell is Peyton Battenfield? Well, he's a 6'4", 224 big right-handed pitcher with a 55 grade fastball that's still developing, and doesn't appear to be impressive curveball or changeup grades there out of Fangraphs. Also struggling with command. Future value 35 plus. Again, this could fluctuate at any moments, but for the time being, we're gonna say that it's a low level prospect. But in AA, in 6 game starts, he pitched 36 innings, 11.3 K per 9, 1.73 walk per 9. So we got something here. He does have a problem with the home run ball there, Sean. And
slightly. I mean, it's not an extreme, especially for a 14.3 home run to fly ball rate, which if I'm trying to remember my AA, how the Southern League usually plays, they've added a new stadium and took one away. But that one was usually it was more towards pitchers. So that is like a high home run to fly ball percentage for that level, I believe.
Interesting. Well, XFIP, which accounts for league average home run situations, has him at 311. So for your information, he's holding his own, right?
Yeah.
He's holding on to his own.
This is one of those few trades that go from one elite pitching development organization to another elite pitching development organization. And it's really interesting, especially you look at, some of the basic K per 9 walks per 9s, and you see something here. I mean, this is a guy who, though he's thrown barely 100 career innings, Ks per 9 of 10.5, 14.2, 11.5, and the walks are in check. And you see a team like Cleveland go out and get this guy for a relatively minor price. So that's an interesting. I like how Cleveland develops arms out of nowhere. Maybe this is one.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking when I was looking this trade over. Although the fact of the matter escaped me that Tampa's pretty good at developing pitchers.
Yeah,
too,
and that's the thing is if Tampa trades somebody, it's like you don't want to say, oh, they're broken or they're not going to develop like they thought they were. It's still. Cleveland sees something. And if Cleveland sees something, then I trust them.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat as you are. I think Well, this is why I do this thing, right? Because I want to see how these no-name prospects end up doing with a change of scenery. Um, so we always are looking for those players. Oh, with a change of scenery, he could change his fortunes. But we never want to do that with the low-level minor league prospects. Well, here's our chance. We'll keep tabs on Peyton Battenfield as the years go on. The next trade, I think you mentioned this one earlier. Richard Rodriguez goes to the Atlanta Braves for Bryce Wilson and Rick DeVito. Let's talk about Bryce Wilson first. Even though he's had some major league experience already under his belt, he's still considered a winning prospect at this point. At once was a promising prospect for the Atlanta Braves. 23-year-old, 6'2", 225, right-handed pitcher. Fastball and slider are nothing to brag about according to Fangraphs, but the curveball is. According to them, he has a curveball that is probably the best of his arsenal, and the command is also there. So he has a little bit of craftiness going for him. And so far this season in the major leagues, he has not posted. He has posted some god awful numbers here.
Yeah,
what is wrong with Bryce Wilson?
It's a very up and down. Atlanta always would say, we love his stuff. We love his stuff. We love his stuff. We like how he attacks the zone. And in the minors, he had pretty good, control walk numbers. It never translated to the big leagues. Whenever he would pitch, both in 2018 and he had 7 innings, had 7 walks per 9. In 2019, 4.5 walks per 9 over 20 innings. 2020, 15 innings, 5 walks per 9. He was one of those arms that for years I said, okay, Atlanta has all of these pitching prospects. They're going to throw them against the wall and see what sticks. Mike Soroka stuck. Max Fried has kind of stuck. Bryce Wilson did not stick. If you go back far enough, Matt Whistler did not stick. Aaron Blair did not stick. I mean, there's a lot of names that we can mention here that did not stick. And
Touki Toussaint.
Touki Toussaint. There you go. Granted, he had the one start that was awesome 2 weeks ago, and everyone was like, Tuki's back. And
did you hear my Kyle Wright as well?
Oh, Kyle, yeah, there you go. Like I said, Atlanta's been doing this for the last 8 years. They have 3 or 4 really good pitching prospects. 1 or 2 of them probably sneak into the top 100, and then they actually get to the big leagues, and one of them's good. And they think they're we're a pitching rich organization because we had Smoltz, Glavine, and Maddox. It's okay, what have you produced since then?
They've produced crap, you're right. Oh my god,
seriously. Julio Teheran?
Yeah, no, he sucks. He sucks.
Julio Teheran always pissed me off as a Mets fan because he would always be major league average for everybody else. He would face the Mets. You're getting shut out for 8 innings. And here comes Craig Kimball's hawk ass coming into the bullpen.
And then Julio Teheran was compared to a light version of Pedro Martinez for a while there.
Oh god,
same stature, same blazing fastball. Well, maybe not the same blazing fastball, but it was shades of Pedro Martinez. Ricky DeVito, that's the other pitcher that the Pirates acquired for Richard Rodriguez here. 22-year-old switch hitting right-handed pitcher, 6'3", 195. Fastball and curveball are still developing, but they are graded as 50, so that's not too bad. But the thing about him is he has the 60 grade splitter, and even though he struggles with the command so far, he has a 40 future value. So go ahead.
I already got the gambit for this guy. Anyway, I started splitting.
Oh,
it's Danny DeVito. Come on. Come on. I started splitting.
Yeah, I gotcha. And I was thinking about Danny DeVito, but no, I want to be professional. Let's take care of business.
Come on. We were literally arguing over Austin Romine. Is that the most professional way to start a podcast?
Last I checked, Austin Romine was a professional.
Oh, goodness gracious.
And he was pretty productive for a catcher in 2018 and 2019 combined. In 5 game starts in high A ball for the Atlanta Brave, 11.95 strikeout per 9, 3.1 walk per 9. So that's pretty decent. Not the best, but not the worst either. 66% ground ball rates, which is what we want to see from a split pitching right-handed pitcher, I guess. But he does have a home run power. As the last 2 seasons, he's been about a 21% home run per fly ball ratio. But ERA is pretty decent at 2.66. FIP's at 3.51. anything else you want to add about Ricky DeVito?
I mean, it's one of those things where someone who does throw a splitter a lot, they do tend to have high ground ball rates, but they also do tend to give up a lot of home runs. Because if they ever miss with it and it stays in the zone, he might start splitting, but the batters are going to start blasting. And apparently that's what's happened here. I'm not going to let the bit go.
All right, well, let's let go of Ricky DeVito. But overall, the Pirates have a couple of interesting pitching projects, not prospects, but projects here. They're still young enough to do something with in their careers, but it's not very encouraging. But they only gave up Richard Rodriguez, who I don't know. I think he was pretty overrated in my book.
Yeah, he was. All he threw was a fastball, and over his last actual 15 innings before the trade deadline, he had an ERA over 5.8. It was really bad. So the fact that they were able to get Bryce Wilson, I thought was impressive. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of Bryce Wilson, to get a prospect of that name type caliber for him, I thought was impressive.
Oh, of course. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Jacob from the Step Back, who I've been getting very well acclimated with in the last week or so because of the NBA draft, is joining us. And he says, that's every shitty pitcher. Well, your teams acquired them, not your team in particular, but your teams in general. They went out of their way to acquire these shitty pitchers with the shitty stuff in the command
because they feel like they can fix them.
And they can fix them, and that's what we're gonna break down. Are they fixable? That's why I brought Sean, because he's the pitching expert here. But changing gears, no more pitchers for right now, because we're gonna talk about Alexander Canario, the guy that one of the prospects that the Cubs got in the Chris Bryant deal. Canario is 21 years old, bats right-handed, throws right-handed, 6'1", 165. This is basically a Pete Crow Armstrong in terms of height and stature, except that Canario
he's got power. Older. He's got power. He hasn't filled out the frame yet, but he's got lightning quick bat speed, lots of power. And I still hate him. I got into several Twitter debates about saying, why did the Cubs get less back for Chris Bryant than they did Pete Crow Armstrong? And they said, oh, Alexander Canario is a much better prospect than Pete Crow Armstrong. I said, okay, well, let's look at it this way. If Pete Crow Armstrong doesn't hit like we expect him to as a first-round draft pick, he still gets to the big leagues based solely on his defense. If Alexander Canario doesn't hit, he doesn't make it out of Double-A. And you look at this guy, he's posted strikeout percentages north of 24, 25, 30% in the last 3 years. Yep. You go and look at inside the San Francisco Giants system the last 2 seasons, 2019 and 2021. He's got the second or third highest swing strike rate, north of 17.5%. And this is all in low A and high A. And he's 21. So he's about right for the age, a little bit young for high A. But he has a massive hole in his swing. And nobody wants to talk about it because, he has power. He steals bases. He's Ronald Acuna. No. If you're striking out 30%, I don't think anyone actually said that, but it's they see the tools, and I've never been much for the tools one, and they see the lightning quick bat, which he does. Honest to God, I saw a couple of videos where he pulled some home runs, and I said, "Damn!" But you see 30% strikeout rate in low A and high A. That doesn't make me feel warm and fuzzy on the inside, not at all. And I think he's a flawed hitter.
It just goes to show you how stupid the idea is. Oh, we're just going to get a bunch of established veterans and we're going to flip them. We're going to flip them at the trade deadline. I mean, we saw what Tony Watson was able to get. Yeah, you got 3 relief pitchers, but you mentioned it. They're kind of suspicious. And I'm just trying to, throw an olive branch to these Angel fans who have nothing to look forward to and say maybe there is some hope here for a guy of Tony Watson's, savvy and craftsmanship. You were able to get 3 somewhat relief pitchers in return. 2 of them are in the minors. The other one's a 30-year-old. That's fine. But for a Chris Bryant, you would think you would get the sun and the stars and the moon.
I mean, in the end, he was still a rental. And I think that was a fair price for a rental Chris Bryant because Canario has the upside and the risk that you like when you trade for a rental. It was when you compared it to what the Mets gave up in Pete Crow Armstrong. That's why I think the Mets overpaid. And that's just what happened.
But, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, if these are teams who are trying to get into the playoffs, you pay whatever price you you need to get to the playoffs and try to win that championship. Otherwise, what is the whole point? You play to win the game. You play to win the game. But my thing is, this is something I brought up in Dong City as well. So I'm gonna go with it really quick. You brought up Chris Bryant. You lagged on his service time. You kept him for an extra year. You had this whole time to maximize his trade value and get rid of him in a quick manner, so he's not seen as just a rental. And in the end, you still waited till the very last minute. You couldn't get a deal done with this guy. You were never intending to get a deal done with this guy, not even to buy out his arbitration years, not to bring him back as a 29, 30-year-old free agent back for 6-7 seasons. That was never your intent. So, yeah, the championship is nice, but in the end, I mean, you want to see it all, right? We're greedy fans, and we want to see what's best for our team. And in the end, all you got was two somewhat mad prospects for a former MVP player and in a World Series champion.
It's like those little buttons or stickers that you get. I went to Disney World and all I got was the shitty t-shirt or whatever. Yeah. It's like I went to the World Series and all I got were these shitty prospects at the end.
No, I mean, that's really what it boils down to. And Chris Bryant is the one that we pick on because for me, he's the biggest name here so far. But everybody got shafted with their veteran players, all because everybody's like, well, the value's gone down because even though we're desperate to win and we got to bolster our roster, we don't want to pay too much of a high price. So here's some of our least favorite prospects for some of your better players. And
that started back in 2016. I mean, everyone saw what the Cubs gave up for Aroldis Chapman.
That's what I mean. That was a high price.
Yeah, and teams said we're not going to do that anymore. And I don't blame them because trading one of your top 5 prospects for a rental, which the Mets goddamn did, pisses me the hell off. It doesn't make sense. I don't care. Like, even when the Mets traded for Yoenis Cespedes, I thought it was a bit of an overpay, but I thought maybe that's just what they need. And it worked for them. But trading what the Toronto Blue Jays did, that was, granted, Barrios is not a rental. He has an extra year of control. But Simeon Woods Richardson and Austin Martin for Jose Barrios and his career 4.05 ERA? What? Mm-hmm. Like, the price is just exorbitant, and it doesn't make sense. So team said, we're not going to do it anymore. Except the Mets. The Mets caved to pressure, and we're like, oh, Javi Baez and Francisco Lindor.
On the one hand, we're lambasting these teams who are paying too much of a high price, but we just pissed all over the Atlanta Braves for not taking those risks and getting established pitchers and hitters and players to push them into the playoffs and push them into championship while they still have one of the best center fielders in all of baseball.
He's out for the year. He's out for the year.
He wasn't out last year. He wasn't out the year before. And it's typical Brave shit. And Vince and Dong City guys, they mention this all the time. They're just too scared to make that big deal. They have not shown the ability to make that big deal. And in the end, they got rid of Bryce Wilson for an overrated relief pitcher. Oh, congratulations, Atlanta. But that's the other.
And that was after they refused to re-sign Mark Melancon, who ended up taking $3 million from San Diego. They refused to sign Shane Green until the month of June. Atlanta. If I was an Atlanta fan, I would be pissed. Granted, they did add some bats, which they needed because if they had a chance at overtaking the Mets at all, it wasn't going to be with Abraham Almonte and Guillermo Heredia in the outfield. They did good, no fault to them, but they needed more, and they got more. They got Jorge Soler, they got Adam Duvall. Adam Duvall's a favorite there anyway, so.
Again, they got Adam Duvall again. Maybe he'll stay in one piece.
This is like the Mets trading for Todd Frazier 2 years in a row. The Braves get Adam Duvall.
But again, just getting back to it, Chris Bryant. Okay, we're not going to overpay for anybody. Okay, well then the Braves don't do anything the last few years, and the results are the same. You don't do anything. You know what it is, man. The risk takers get the biggest rewards is what it is. And those who stay in the back, like the Yankees, right? I mean, as much as we like what the Yankees did, and we'll get to them in a little bit if we get there at this point, but as much as I like the Yankees every year, their reluctance to trade any other freaking prospects for fear that it might not look good on them in the future is absolutely absurd. I mean, you're in the win now mode, you're in championship mode, you got all your best players and your best prospects already in the big league roster, and you continue to pussyfoot around and say, oh, well, we don't want to give up too much of a price. Meanwhile, you see all your big rivals including the Houston Astros and the Dodgers, and even your East Coast brethren out there with the Washington D.C. Nationals, they win championships, and you're stuck without a championship since 2009. And Mike Rizzo, God bless his heart, he didn't give up when people told him, "Oh, you got to give up. You got to give up. You got to trade everybody for prospects." He said, "No, as long as I'm still here, I'm still gonna try."
Look
to
where
win.
his team is now.
Yeah, but was it worth it? Yeah, 2019 they won the damn title. After years of being like the best team for almost a decade, they finally got that vaunted title that they've been looking for, and it was worth it, because that's all it is. Yeah, there's a thing of sustained wins, but look what happens, man. You can't sustain win what do you call it, competition and in that competency window for too long in baseball. It's Major League Baseball, man. Steroids are gone. They won't even let these guys take greenies anymore. Anyway, I digress. So Alexander Canio, I mean, the hit tool's not there, but the power is, like you mentioned, even the speed. It looks like it's.
I think he's one of those guys. He's going to steal a lot of bases in the minors. Then when he gets to the majors, he's going to be like nothing. Like, I feel like even Jorge Soler stole a lot of bases in the minors. Not a lot, but some.
I just realized who's that? Who's the guy? Is it Helio Ramos? That's the big name prospect.
Yeah, that's been in San Francisco's minor league system for like 17 years.
Yeah, I just realized that he too, his speed has dropped, just like Alexander Canario. So something's wrong with San Francisco over there. But as Sean mentioned, strikes out too much, and he struggled mightily in A ball. He's now in high A with the Cubs, and he's already striking out at a 33.3% rate. So Sean loves those type of players. Moving on to Caleb Killian. He's a right-handed pitcher, 6'4", 180. He needs some girth in that body of his, but he's 24 years old already, and he's in Double-A. He was in Double-A with the Giants. The tools aren't there. The slider's pretty good. The changeup's decent. The command is where it's at with this guy. So I just picture a guy who throws nothing but changeups, I guess. I don't know. But 11 game starts in Double-A with the Giants. The strikeouts are nowhere to be impressive, but the control's always there, right? I mean, this is a 70 grade command prospect. And he's posting decent production numbers. Any last words on Caleb Killian going to the Cubs here?
He just seems like the type of pitcher that San Francisco's been kind of not stacking. The word I'm looking for here, really targeting, guys like the 6'11" Sean Hielli. He's got great command, great sink. Caleb Killian looks, by all accounts, like he could be really, really good. You look at the strikeout to walk numbers in the minors, and you're like, wow, that's like Chris Paddock-esque. That's like Shane Bieber-esque with slightly less strikeouts. The interesting thing with him is he does have that higher ground ball percentage. But he just seems like that type of pitcher San Francisco has really been targeting to try and piece together a staff of these control freaks, essentially. So,
yeah, it works. It works well with that big ballpark, and we talked about that big ballpark effect with the starting rotation on the current major league roster, and how that probably turned around Kevin Gossman's career. I have a comment to tell you here to share with you, Sean, from Krista. She tagged one of her friends and mentioned that these two are funny. And I'm like, hey, this is us trying to be serious, all right? Come on. We're trying to be serious.
We're trying here.
We're trying here. Lane Thomas, I feel like that's a football player's name, but I know this is not a guy I want to talk about. He kind of reminded me. I remember him from somewhere, and sure enough, yeah, former Cardinals farmhand. And before that, he was with the Blue Jays. So that's where I remember him from. Not much to brag about. Speed and much more of a fielder, supposed to grade as a fourth outfielder for a good team. Any hope for Lane Thomas being more than just a fourth outfielder for a good team?
No.
All right.
If you are one of our audio only people, I very vigorously shook my head left and right. There are several people on Twitter I know from the Cardinals Twitter side, and they're funny to listen to because this rotating spot in the outfield for them, it's like they were ready to give up on Harrison Bader 2 years ago. They were ready to give up on Tyler O'Neill last year. Now they love both. And then it was like Justin Williams was that outfielder that they're like, he's raking in AAA, call him up. And they called him up and he sucked. And they said, okay, Lars Nootbaar is being, like, literally his name is Lars Nootbaar. He's doing awesome in AAA, call him up. And they call him up and he sucks. And then Lane Thomas goes from fifth outfielder, starting outfielder. And they're like, we've seen enough of Lane Thomas. Bring up the other guys. Oh, wait, they suck. And so Lane Thomas just still gets all this playing time, and they can't realize that they keep saying this guy sucks, bring somebody new in, and then Lane Thomas is always the guy at the very end that gets his job back.
Well, this is the Lane Thomas was acquired by the Nationals in the John Lester deal. So the Cardinals acquired John Lester. Moving on to
Kudos
the
to
Royals.
Mike Rizzo for getting literally anything for John Lester.
That's he got anything for anybody at this point. Even Max Scherzer. Oh. Casey Kalich going to the Royals. Jorge Soler going to the Braves. Casey Kalich is a 23-year-old right-handed pitcher, 6'3", 220. Last we checked while he was with the Braves, was able to pitch 20 games, 10.38 strikeout per 9 inning and relief duty, but does have a walk per 9 of 5. Any I don't know. What do you think about him going to the Royals, Casey Kalich?
Relief pitcher with control issues that hasn't shown me really anything stand out. So just kind of wait and see.
Yeah, well, I'm not waiting. Yeah. Next up, and the Hansel Robles deal going to the Boston Red Sox. The Twins get Alex Scherf, 6'3", 205, 23-year-old right-handed pitcher. Decent fastball. The changeup is what's going to be his bread and butter, even though he has a future value of 40. When he was with the Red Sox in 6 games of relief, 12.15 K per 9, 2.7 walk per 9, 1.35 ERA. So some promising outlook here, although he is 23-year-old in AA with the Twins. Any other hope for Alex Scherf to one day make it to the show and be productive for the Minnesota Twins?
I don't know. Minnesota needs whatever pitchers they can find that don't give up home runs left and right, which we'll see. Let's just see if this guy can give up home runs or not. They only will employ you if you can give up at least 1 home run per 9. That seems to be the rule in Minnesota. If you give up less than 1 home run per 9, you're getting traded. Get out of here. No. This is a what do they call the Bomba Squad? Now their pitchers are the Bomba Squad.
They're launching pads to the Bomba Squad. Next up is Peyton Henry. Finally, a AAA player here. 24-year-old catcher, 6'2", 215 pounds. No hit tool, but the raw power is at 60. And that's all he has is just raw power. So basically, he's Jorge Alfaro. If Jorge Alfaro was still in the minor leagues.
You saw that Jorge Alfaro played left field. I know this is like a tangent. He played left field yesterday.
Wow, that's good to know. Holy cow. But from the Brewers, he did nothing of discernible merits here. Maybe a 338 on base percentage, but he coupled that with a really bad slugging percentage. So he doesn't feel as good as the other guy we mentioned with Gutierrez for the Pirates. What do you see out of Peyton Henry on your end?
Peyton Henry, I had his tab pulled up and I missed it. He's the which deal he was in?
That's the John Curtis deal. Milwaukee Brewers acquire pitcher John Curtis for Peyton Henry, the catcher.
I don't have him pulled. Oh, there he is. He's almost like of course my computer doesn't want to load. Here we go. Peyton Henry, like you said, 60 grade raw power, 35 future hit tool. Yeah, no thank you. I see a lot of 230 batting averages with high 20s strikeout rate. Yeah, hard pass. That's no thank you.
Wait, hard pass or hard pass ball?
Probably a little bit of both.
Yeah, right. All right, moving on. I think we're going to get to some of the good players here in just a bit, but we go now to where we at? Oh, okay. I just saw it. There we go. No, that's not it. There we go. The Yankees acquired Andrew Heaney from the Angels for Elvis Peguero and Jansen Junko. I know you saw this tweet that
Junko. Oh God.
Jansen Junk plays for the Rocket City Trash Pandas.
Oh, that was great. That's hilarious. That's awesome. I love it. Yay.
So yeah. It's pretty cool.
And they literally say on the Fangraphs article, a somewhat generic reliever.
What, Jansen Junk?
Junk. Yeah. Can you imagine just being a generic piece of junk?
Oh man, the Major League Baseball's littered. Ha! Littered.
I hate you. I hate you so much.
When he was with the Yankees at AA, he started 12 games in 2021, 65 and 2/3 innings pitch, 9.32 K per 9, but pretty good control in terms of that walk per 9 at 2.7. And 1.78 ERA. So he was having a pretty decent season. But aside from that, it's the curveball and the command for him. So he's a crafty guy. and that's going to be his ticket to the major leagues, 35 plus. And again, the Angels, they're always looking for pitching, but whatever. Maybe he's a junk ball pitcher. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm just seeing a lot of him in 2019, and it did not look pretty.
Maybe he's turning the wheel around. Maybe
5 ERA in high A, 7 ERA in double A in one game. And then he made one start. That was only 2 1/3 innings in triple A, and that was 11.5 ERA. So,
this is for as far as Jansen junk goes, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Okay.
One man's junk is another man's treasure.
Elvis Peguero. You're nothing but a hound dog, Sean. 6 games of relief, 12 innings pitched, 12.75 K per 9 and 3.75 walk per 9 with a ground ball rate of 53% and also having a low ERA. Vince did mention that a lot of the Yankee minor league teams are having a great season. So I'm wondering if this is a result of their good fortune that these low-level prospects are also benefiting from that. But Elvis is 24 years old, right-handed pitcher, 6'5", 208 pounds. So the big frame's there, the fastball's there, the slider's there. The command is still a work in progress. Do you see Elvis turning his career around with the Angels?
It will be tough. We see all the time the bigger framed guys struggle with command. Yeah. And if you're struggling with command in low A and double A, you're going to have a tough time in the big leagues. You just are. They're going to take advantage. They're not going to swing. And then when you finally just pour one over to finally get ahead in the count, then it's going to end up in the third deck. So,
well, it looks like he might have the stuff to stick around as a relief pitcher, and how it goes with relief pitchers. If you're big and you have those lightning stuff, they can, sweep the craft and the command down the underneath the carpet there. Moving on to Drew Millis, Washington Nationals, high A ball player. He was acquired as I'm just kind of all over the place on my other screen here, but he was acquired in the Yan Gomes and Josh Harrison deal. So Yan Gomes, Josh Harrison goes to Oakland. Drew Millis comes back to the Nationals. Decent hit tool, pretty good speed for a catcher. Really good fielder, especially compared to the other guy we talked about Peyton Henry, I think, and a 40+ future value. So there's some promise here. Switch hitting catcher, 6'2", 205-pounder. And when he was with Oakland, he stole 10 bases and had really good plate approach and had a really high on base percentage, but not much of a pop there. What are your thoughts on Drew Millis there on your end?
I don't think I see him on my list over from Fangraphs. I see the other player, the Richard Gauche that was acquired in the Gomes Harrison deal, but don't see him. But a catcher that steals bases is always fun.
Oh, hell yeah. That's why I mentioned him. You see, you said there's no value to these guys. If Drew Millis
if I had the rest of his numbers in front of me, I'd probably be laughing at him.
You should be, because he doesn't slug or hit for power, but
does he get on base?
He definitely gets on base. 372 on base. And
okay.
Did I not? People not listening to me?
I didn't hear the 372 on base. I heard 10 stolen bases, and that was kind of when I perked up.
I understand. He's walking more than he's striking out there, so I know you love that as well. So keep an eye on Drew Millis. We might have something here, but it's a long uphill battle for him, and he's only in high A ball at the moment. Seth Schumann, pitcher out of right-handed pitcher, 6'1", 195-pounder with the A's. He started 11 games, 56 innings pitched. Close to a 10 K per 9 and a really low walk rate of 2.4, but he's a fly ball pitcher. 2.25 ERA though, but the 3.54 field independent pitching as well. And this guy is such a low level prospect that there are no grades. There are no prospect grades for this guy according to Fangraphs. So if you see something else on your end that might add more to Seth Schumann's profile that we're doing here vocally, we greatly appreciate it. Sean, what do you got for me? Nothing? Anything?
Nothing.
All right, let's move on. So that's Seth Schumann. Richard Gouache, also from the Nationals. He's again part of the Yan Gomes and Josh Harrison deal. 23-year-old right-handed, 6'4", 205. Another big frame guy. No prospect grades here, Sean. Just letting you know.
Cuban thrower. He's a Cuban thrower. He has no idea where the ball's going. Upper mid 90s, but he's got no clue where it's going.
Yeah, high ERA, high walk rate, but he does have a lot of strikeouts. So, and he's also has started in 9 games this season. So there's still. Oakland was still trying to see if he could still be a starting pitcher. Moving on to the Twins acquiring Evan Sisk and John Gant for J.A. Happ. So Happ and Gant are the veterans.
Oh, I thought Gant was the only piece in that trade. I didn't know they got a prospect.
Yeah, Evan Sisk. I'm going to tell you about him right now. Left-handed, 24-year-old, 6'2", 209 pitcher. Again, no prospect grades here. He was selected round 16 for the St. Louis Cardinals. And so far with the Cardinals at AA this season, 16 relief appearances, 1 save, 12.6 strikeout per nine, but a really high walk rate, 5.4.
When I look at his numbers and I see the good strikeout rate, high walk rate, and somewhat still low ERAs, even though he has an insanely high BABIP, I kind of see lefty specialists here. Maybe this is when he does get hurt or when he is walking guys. It's all right-handed batters. Have to dig in a little bit more to that, but possibly a lefty specialist guy type here.
That's what I'm seeing as well. And with the new rules, I don't know if there's any room for a guy like that. I mean, there's always room for a left-handed pitcher, but not when you have to face 3 hitters. Is that the rule, right? 3 hitters in a row?
Yeah, unless you finish the inning and then you can face 1 batter. And yeah.
That's right. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. Reese Olson, he was I'm skipping the Craig Kimbrell for Nick Madrigal and Cody Hooer because we talk about Nick Madrigal all the time, and Cody Hooer already has some big league experience. So
Nick Madrigal, friend of the show.
Oh yeah, and plus he's hurt, so there's really nothing to talk about. But hey, Nick and Nico for the Cubs, middle infield. It's the Nick and Nico show. They're gonna ground every ball up to the middle.
Nickelodeon.
Nickelodeon. There's a 2. You remember Nickelodeon? They used to have a TV show called The Angry Beavers. That's gonna be Nick and Nico.
Oh God.
Nick and Nico, the angry rodents, just burrow every fucking ball down the ground. Milwaukee Brewers, Reese Olson. So you gotta like a guy from the Brewers, right? I don't know about this guy though. 14 game starts, 10.3 strikeout per 9, really high walk rate at 4.6 walk per 9 innings. And 4.30 ERA. So a little bit of a struggle here, but the Tigers are willing to take a chance.
Yeah, if you remember, we had him on in the offseason, Trevor Huth, big time Tigers fan. He is the one I go to and I listen to all the time because he watches so much of minor league pitchers. Yeah. And he went back and he had some footage and some GIF clips of Reese Olson. And if you look at the numbers and the results, you're probably thinking, whatever. That's probably what Daniel Norris gets you. But I remember I watched the video, and you can definitely tell he does have 360 grade pitches. The changeup's awesome. The fastball has a little work to get there, but the slider and changeup are awesome. And like I said, Detroit is kind of assembling a little super squad of pitching over there, so it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out.
It's the opposite of what the Braves did. Although Daniel Norris was an old guard of that pitching farm system that the Tigers had. Remember, he was acquired by from the Blue Jays, and the
David Price deal. Yeah, it was him and oh goodness gracious, it's gonna bug me.
But it doesn't matter. Moving on to Alex Jackson. He was acquired in the Adam Duvall deal, who you just mentioned. So Alex Jackson, really nothing to brag about except that he has mammoth power. Just ginormous, 70 grade power for a catcher. That's very rare. Kind of think about Mike Zunino when you think about Alex Jackson, and Jackson's already up on the big league club, but he's striking out at a 47.2 strikeout rate. So that's
actually a great comp. And he finally hit his first career home run yesterday against the Mets. And what I noticed is he hit the home run. It was on a splitter, I believe.
Yeah.
And I just kind of noticed and went back, and in the last 2 years, he'd had about 20 plate appearances with the Braves that I saw him a couple of times. He can't hit a fastball, and he can't. Taijuan Walker in the next at bat just blew 3 fastballs by him, and it was 1, 2, 3, sit down. But he does put pretty good swings on breaking pitches. And this year in AAA, when he was with Atlanta, I'm not sure if you looked at those numbers. They are stupid. 287, 366 with a 694 slugging. That was a 168 WRC plus. He was having a better year in AAA than guys like Joey Bart. The only other catcher that really was putting him to the task was also traded Kybert Ruiz from the Dodgers to the Nationals. So Alex Jackson might just be a quad A hitter, though.
All right. Well, I mean,
but he has really, really fun power. I mean, he hit a ball 430 feet off Taijuan Walker last night. So
I also thought Adam Duvall was a quadruple A hitter, but yet here he is still in the big leagues. So he just continues to produce power for teams who are desperate at the trade deadline. Now we get to some of your favorite players here. Austin Martin, who I have him in both my keeper leagues, thanks to Sean in one, and then the other one I just picked him up off waivers because he was available. Yeah, both involving Jared Kelenic. I had to trade Jared Kelenic in my other league as well, and there was Austin Martin just waiting for me to pick up. 22-year-old, bats right-handed, shortstop, maybe future center fielder, 6 foot, 185 pounder, has really good hit tool, decent power, has really good speed, is versatile on defense, 50 future value. Now we're talking here, Sean, aren't we? This is what we're looking for. These are the type of prospects we used to get at the trade deadline, and before all these crappy pitchers started changing hands. What else do you want to add about Austin Martin?
Austin Martin, I had a funny interaction with on Twitter, not with him specifically, but somebody said, I think Austin Martin, it might be getting overvalued, overrated here. He hasn't really shown any power. He only has the 2 home runs in Double-A with Toronto this year. He has an on-base higher than a slugging. He's only slugging 383. And someone said, it seems that he's really going to have to rely on his average and OBP to provide value since he doesn't really have any power. And I said, all I did was reply. I said, it's working pretty damn well for Jonathan India right now. Yeah. Because that was how a lot of people viewed Jonathan India. And he didn't have the power in the minors. He dealt with some injuries. And I think Austin Martin has a much higher ceiling than Jonathan India. I think they're both very good players. I think Austin Martin has the potential to be special. And aside from Pete Crow Armstrong being traded for Javi Baez as a rental, this deal was the biggest ripoff of the deadline. I don't know what the hell Toronto was thinking, honestly. I don't. Marcus Stroman was having a better year than Jose Barrios the year he was traded. And what did the Blue Jays get back from Marcus Stroman? They got back Anthony Kay and Simeon Woods Richardson, who they just flipped in this deal. And at the time, Simeon Woods Richardson was a 45 plus future value. At the time of this deal, he was a 50 plus or a 55. I mean, it was actually 50. He was 50. I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking. Jose Barrios does not do good in the AL East for his career. I think this is going to be a train wreck of a deal. I know he had that first great start for him. Whatever. Tell me I'm wrong in a week. But I don't think this is going to work out well. I think Minnesota did great to get both Austin Martin and Simeon Woods Richardson.
Yeah, and so that's Austin Martin there. Simeon Woods Richardson, 20-year-old, like you mentioned, was part of the what the hell? I can't think. Marcus Stroman deal, like you said. Right-handed pitcher, 6'3", 210. Decent fastball, decent curveball, but the changeup is what's the most impressive grade here on his Fangraphs page. Really good command. That's why he's a 50 future value player. And so far with the Blue Jays at Double-A, 45 and 1/3 innings pitch after 11 games starts, 13.3 strikeout per 9, but 5.2 walk per 9 innings. So that's kind of cause of concern maybe there for the Blue Jay, and a 5.76 ERA. But the FIP likes him. But regardless, you kind of want to give a guy like him more of a chance to show if that's really him or not. I don't understand. Go ahead, Sean. I'm sorry.
Woods Richardson, talking about that command. He is currently playing for Team USA right now. And
okay, how's he doing?
I don't think I haven't seen any of his actual starts. I'm not sure if he's pitched out of the bullpen yet. But when they went to go play in the qualifiers, he took a time off from May 22nd and then didn't pitch again until almost the 10th of June, June 9th. And that was when they had to go play their qualifying games. And before the qualifying games, he had a few walks, but he went 5 innings in all of them. And then he came back, and in the first start, he went 5 innings. He only went 1 inning the next. And then he had a 7-walk start. And then on 7-15 before going to the Olympics, he had a 5-walk start, but with 9 strikeouts. So it seemed that the qualifiers maybe messed him up a little bit just in terms of getting out of rhythm, having to travel all the way out west where they were doing the qualifiers and then come back. I always thought that he was the main piece in the Stroman deal. He was a lottery ticket in that deal, though. Anthony Kay was the one that was having a great year. Simeon Woods Richardson was pitching an A-ball. But great command. That 5 walks per 9 just seems really it staggers you because he has been such a great command pitcher, even as a teenager. Like he had command that you normally don't see out of teenagers. I do worry that the fastball might be too hittable, especially if he keeps it in the zone, because he can keep it in the zone very easily. I just worry that it's going to be a hittable fastball. The changeup and slider are good. Changeup's better than the slider. He's an interesting pitcher. I think people might want to say he's like a 2-3, but he might be more of just a pitchability number 4.
All right. With all that being said, we made it through all the July 30th trades. Now we're in the July 29th deals. However, it is the top of the hour. I guess if you want, I can give you one player or two players that you could talk about who were dealt before July 29th. Who are those players?
Let's do Austin Shenton. He was on the 29th, I believe, correct?
Yeah,
he was in the JT Chargois and that deal between Diego Castillo. Austin Shenton, left-handed bat, old for his age, not a whole lot of power, but for his career, you just look at him and you're like, this guy can hit. And that's my favorite type of prospect, the ones who play a position that don't have the prototypical tools for that position, and they still succeed nonetheless. In 2 years in the minors, Austin Shenton has played 124 games and has a slash line of 295, 392, 533. Yeah, that's the same guy. Yeah. So Tampa picks him up. I feel like he is a potential replacement for basically what Nate Lowe's slot in the organization was. G-Man Choi, I don't think he's going to be there much longer. I've been saying it for 2 years now, but I don't think G-Man Choi is long for Tampa anymore. I think Austin Shenton is a type of batter that Tampa would really like. High-ish walk rate, 8, 9, 10%, lowish strikeouts. I really like him. I think he's an underrated bat just because he doesn't have the prototypical first baseman power.
And who's the other guy?
Glenn Otto from the Joey Gallo deal. Glenn Otto is a guy who has just been carving up minor leaguers this year, and no one was really talking about him. And when I saw he was involved in the Gallo deal, along with Josh Smith, another good player they got back, infielder. But Glenn Otto this year in 2021 in Double-A, it's stupid. He had a 14.19 strikeouts per 9. He had 10 games started, pitched 65 innings. So he was averaging, 6 innings a start with a 14 K per 9 and walks per 9 of 1.93. In the past, walks have been a bit of an issue. In 2019, he had a walks per 9 in high A of over 5. And then he went up to AAA this year, made 2 starts before being traded, 10.5 K per 9, 2.61 walk per 9. Still solid. And he's made 1 start in Texas so far, and he had 5 strikeouts, 3 walks in 5 innings. I think this is a really sneaky under-the-radar pick. And if he doesn't work out as a starter, I think he could be a elite level reliever as well.
All right. My guy is Kevin Alcantara. He was acquired in the Anthony Rizzo deal. 19-year-old, 6'6", 188 pounder, has a lot of power on that bat, and some speed combination as well. Power speed combination is what I like to see here. That sounds like a type of player that Felipe would go after in dynasty and keeper leagues. 50 future value. So
born
far
after 9/11. He was born in 2002. He's a baby. Yeah. He's a baby.
Poor baby. So far, what would that be? That would be a 0.57 walk per strikeout rate. So, yeah, the approach is it's promising, but it could be a lot better than that. 360 batting average. He's having a good time at the New York Yankees complex, and also, let's see what happened in the rookie league the last time he played full time. He did not slug for that much power, but however, he did have a 354 weighted on base average. So a little bit of a mixed bag here, but the tools are there for him to be something special in this bleak point in Cubs history, seeing that all your best players from the 2016 championship are hitting home runs and now finally being productive for their new teams. So hoping that one day Kevin Alcantara could be a mainstay along with Pete Crow Armstrong and one of the corner infield positions there. Anybody else before we call it a night there, Sean?
I think that was just about all. Kevin Alcantara, I think, might be fool's gold. I think he's one of those. He looks the part. He looks like a baseball player. He's 6'6", and he's had this great start down in the complex. And then you look, and his BABIP combined in between the two Chicago and Yankees is like 450. So just be careful. Josh Smith, I mentioned him, and also. Felipe wasn't going to let me mention him because his name got said on Dong City. But Abraham freaking Toro, people, I told you this. I've been telling you, and my camera's moving because I'm shaking my desk so much. Abraham freaking Toro is a monster. He has been unleashed, and he has everyday playing time. Bye-bye, Kyle Seager. Your career in Seattle is done. Abraham Toro has your job now.
Toro's playing second base, though.
Is he playing second base? He's going to play third base for him next year.
Oh, okay.
Right. I thought I saw him playing third base.
I saw it when we were talking about it in Dong City. He was playing mostly second base almost immediately after he got traded.
I know he had his first home run came as a pinch hitter.
Well, that just goes to show you how versatile Abraham Toro could be. I was bragging about Diego Castillo being a better relief pitcher than Kendall Graveman, and that people should just shut up and stop their crying about Kendall Graveman getting traded.
Yeah, Seattle fans being upset over Kendall not having 20 innings of Kendall Graveman. Give me a break. Your team got better. You got Abraham Toro for 5 years.
And Diego Castillo.
Yeah,
let's
and
not
Diego
forget
Castillo.
about him. Don't say it like that. You make it something, whatever. No, Diego Castillo is really good. Really
well,
good.
I mean, we used to say the same thing about him and Jose Alvarado when they were in Tampa, and we're like, oh my god, these guys are insane. They throw so hard, and they're just kind of meh.
Diego Castillo was having a better year than Kendall Graveman, and Graveman was being.
I don't think it was a better year. I think Graveman was like insanely good. He had like a 1.0 ERA something.
No, hold on a minute. Now you got me thinking here. Hold on, I just saw their numbers.
Diego Castillo 2.82 ERA, 11.7 K per nine. Graveman 0.76 ERA. 9.9 K per nine. Yeah.
So wait, even as a relief pitcher, Kendall Graveman is still not posting high strikeout rates?
I think he has like a really high swinging strike rate, honestly.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay, but still just
in high ground balls too.
So basically Kendall Graveman as a starting pitcher is still doing things as a relief pitcher. I gotcha.
I can't...
All right, here it is. According to the numbers here, I'm gonna do a side by side on my little Fangraphs report that I got going here. First of all, Graveman's older by 3 years. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Diego Castillo has a much higher strikeout rate and
much higher ERA too.
Yeah.
I'm going to be an ERA snob on this one because it proves the point.
But
double
when you
the
look
war.
at Skills interactive ERA, they're pretty well matched. 268 for Graveman, 275 for Castillo, which is not that far off. Castillo also makes more people swing outside the strike zone, induces more swings overall, gives up less contact, which is not surprising because Kendall Graveman is all about that contact. Has a much higher swinging strike rate than Kendall Graveman. The fastballs are about Graveman suddenly has found velocity in that thing, which
he picked up a lot of velo this year.
But StatCast, expected ERA much higher for Kendall Graveman than it is for Diego Castillo. 3.26 for Graveman, 2.56 for Castillo. And what's the last thing I wanted to look at here? I think, lower exit velocity for Diego Castillo. I rest my case. Stop crying about Kendall Graveman. Jesus Christ.
I do agree with that. I do agree with that. They should be completely okay with giving up Kendall Graveman. You won the deal. It's okay.
They're still crying about it though. Oh, why do they have to give up? You're not giving up if you're getting Diego Castillo. He's 3 years younger than Graveman was. Sorry. At least you didn't get Daniel Hudson. That would have been a mess right there.
Hey, that's like San Diego's like little participation trophy for the trade deadline was Daniel Hudson, and Michael Conforto just hit a damn rocket to right field again for an out. That dude cannot buy a hit. He really can't.
Yeah, I know. He's on my fantasy points league, and it's been
rough.
Yeah, he got healthy, and my team got worse somehow. I don't understand. Anyway,
tell me you're the Mets without telling me you're the Mets.
And I got Jacob deGrom as well, and Jeff McNeil got dropped. But I'm looking at it. I'm like, no, I don't think so. I want to, but I probably shouldn't because this Mets team has cursed my keeper my keeper points team to no end. Anyway, that's it for us. I know Sean has to get going, but be sure to catch all our other shows, Dong City, the Step Back podcast. I just did 3 episodes with them back to back last week or the last 2 weeks about the NBA drafts, the 2011 draft, the 2017 draft, and the current one, 2021 NBA draft. The Workshoot podcast is a wrestling podcast. They're on tomorrow night. The Audible football podcast that was on yesterday. They're getting ready to start training camp over there as well. Literally, Matt Bushnell, I think he's in training camp mode. If you ever see him talk around this time of year, I think he's ready as well. I think he's going to put on the pads and the helmet.
He's going to put on the pads.
And he's going to run through that wall for the coaches, right? Any last words there, Sean, before I let you go?
I do want to say that Alex Jackson just hit a ball for a double. That was 107 miles an hour, and I'm trying to find out where it was.
I thought you were going to say 170 miles an hour. Like, wow, this Alex Jackson.
Okay, it doesn't want to pop up, but he did have a 107-mile-an-hour batted ball, and I just wish I knew which pitch it was on. It might have been – it actually would be the last pitch of the at-bat, and it was a sinker. It wasn't a breaking ball. It was a sinker. Okay, never mind. Granted, it's a Cookie Carrasco sinker at 92.7, which is kind of frightening, but oh well.
All right. For Sean, I am Felipe. We're back. We're hoping to come back next week. We will see you soon. Have a good night, everybody.